Continuing our discussion about evolution, we're going to talk about hominin fossils. So what these are is these are the ancestors of Homo sapiens, the scientific name for humans. So these would be humans' ancestors. The first one that we're going to talk about is Australopithecus, and they lived about 4 million years to about 1.5 million years ago. These would have been small bipedal apes. Their skeletons suggest that they probably spent some of their time in trees. Their teeth and limb joints were more human-like. The most complete skeleton that we have of an Australopithecus is Lucy. And Lucy stood about 1 meter tall and lived about 3.2 million years ago. This is what we have of Lucy. You see an artist rendering there as to what Lucy might have looked like. And those are her fossil remains. And that is actually considered a very complete fossil remain. Remember, fossil bones, things like that, get scattered because of, predators coming along, taking things off, the shifting of the earth, things like that. The genus Homo. So about 2 million years ago, a new group of species appeared. This would have been the Homo species. They had bigger brains, lighter skeletons, flatter faces, and smaller teeth than their ancestors. And from this point, our human evolution continued. Homo habilis is who we would refer to as the nickname the handyman because he used tools. His remains have been found with tools made of bones and stone, and they lived in Africa between 2.4 and 1.4 million years ago. These still retain the ability to climb trees.
Report to the security office.
They had smaller brows, a reduced jaw, flatter face, and more human-like teeth. Next is Homo ergaster. He emerged within about 500,000 years of Homo habilis. Taller, lighter, longer legs, shorter arms. And this appeared to be the first species that was migrating and moving to different places. We actually have the African version and we have the Eurasian forms. And the Eurasian form would have been Homo erectus. Homo erectus lived between 1.8 million and 400,000 years ago. They are a little bit larger than Homo habilis, longer skull, lower forehead, thicker facial bones, and a more prominent brow ridge. So the brow ridge is where your eyebrows would run. Your Homo neanderthalans evolved exclusively in Europe and Asia about 200,000 years ago. Shorter, but they had more muscle mass, larger brains than modern humans, thicker skulls, bony brow ridge, and larger nose. Homo sapiens, those are your modern humans, and they are characterized by a more slender appearance than all of the other Homo species. Thinner skeletons, rounder skulls, smaller faces with prominent chins. And they appeared in the fossil record for the first time in what is now Ethiopia about 195,000 years ago. I remember I told you we would come back to that mitochondrial DNA. And where we're back to with that mitochondrial DNA is with mitochondrial Eve. Your mitochondrial DNA changes very, very little over time. Your mitochondrial DNA is passed on from your mother, who received it from her mother. And your mitochondrial DNA is identical to that of your mother. So there is very little change over this. And when we look at the populations, it takes a long time to accumulate the diversities. And the idea of what mitochondrial Eve is that would have been the first Homo sapien female. And she would have emerged in Africa about 200,000 years ago.